Sometimes the most incredible stories aren't the ones you find in big official history books. Nope, they're hidden away in the margins, pieced together from forgotten records, old newspaper clippings, and dusty police reports. Today, we're digging into one of those exact stories, the unbelievable life of Harriet Head.
Okay, so our whole story kicks off with this tiny but totally explosive piece of paper. It's a public notice from a man named George Baker, and it says, "I will not be responsible for any debts contracted by my wife Harriet, she having left her home without my consent." This wasn't just a private squabble. This was public humiliation.
And that notice, well, it just throws up this massive question, right? In an era where a woman's entire identity, her entire world, was tied to her husband and children, what on earth could have happened to drive her to take such a radical, life-destroying step? To figure that out, we got to go back to the very beginning.
Before all the scandal and the drama, there was this promise of a completely fresh start. Harriet's story, like so many others in Australia, starts with a long and frankly very daring journey.
And here she is. This is her, Harriet Head, just 19 years old, stepping off a ship in Fremantle after a 3-month voyage from England. I mean, can you even imagine the guts that took? Leaving everything and everyone you've ever known as a teenager to sail halfway across the planet to what was basically a remote, rugged frontier outpost.
And wow, she did not waste any time getting her new life started. Just a single year after she lands, she marries George Baker. Now, what's really interesting here is the note that she was 21 and he was 36. That's a pretty significant age gap. And notice how they both signed with just an X? That tells you they were likely illiterate, which, was super common for working-class folks at the time.
So who was this guy George Baker? Well, all the clues point to him being an ex-convict, transported for deserting the army of all things. He was a laborer, and their life would have been tough. Like really hard Scrabble, bouncing around the unforgiving wheat belt, just trying to make a living off the land. This was not an easy life by any stretch.
And over that next decade, they have a family. 5 kids. George, Elizabeth, James, Emma, and then little Alice Martha, who was born in 1880. And this right here, this is the family, this is the entire life that Harriet is about to walk away from.
And then 1880 hits. This is the year it all falls apart. The year Harriet makes her desperate decision, a choice that brings the full force of the law and society right down on top of her.
And it wasn't just that newspaper ad. Oh no. Look at this. On the right, that's the official police gazette. There is a warrant out for the arrest of Harriet Ann Barker, using her married name, for deserting her husband and 4 children. She wasn't just a runaway wife anymore. She was a wanted woman.
We really have to get our heads around what this meant back then. It was absolutely catastrophic. A woman had basically 0 rights. If you left your husband, you were a social outcast, full stop. You lost everything, your home, any property, and this is the most gut-wrenching part, any legal right to your own children. The level of desperation she must have felt is just hard to comprehend.
And if that wasn't bad enough, the story just gets absolutely heartbreaking from here. Only 7 months after Harriet left, her baby girl, Alice Martha, died. We don't know the circumstances, but you can just feel the tragedy of this shattered family.
So, what do you do now? You've left your family, your child has died. How do you even begin to pick up the pieces when society sees you as a pariah and you're literally on the run from the law?
Well, Harriet tried to start over. She hooks up with a guy named Michael Brady, who was probably the man she ran off with in the first place. But if she was hoping for a nice, quiet, stable life, yeah, that is not what she got. Brady was also an ex-convict, transported for insubordination, and he had a real knack for finding trouble.
So what's your move? You're on the fringes of society with this new guy. You're trying to dodge the authorities in your past. You've got to vanish. You have to become someone else entirely.
And this right here, this document is the clue that shows us exactly how she pulled it off. When Harriet and Michael start having their own kids, look at the names she's using on the birth registrations. It's not Head, it's not Baker, it's Harriet Vandersaluk, a totally fake name. It's a clear attempt to just wipe the slate clean and hide who she really was, even if it meant lying on official documents.
Her new life was anything but peaceful. I mean, check out this newspaper clipping from 1897. It calls Michael Brady a brute and then casually details his 52nd conviction. 52nd! This was the chaotic, violent world she was now living in.
But And this is what's so incredible. Harriet's story doesn't end there. In all that poverty and chaos, against all the odds, she somehow pulls off this amazing third act, transforming herself from a fugitive into a true survivor.
I mean, just look at this timeline. After everything she's been through, at 55 years old, she gets married again, still using that Vanderslick alias. When her new husband dies, he leaves her everything. All of a sudden, Harriet, the runaway wife, the fugitive, is a property owner. She even marries again at age 70 and goes on to live until the incredible age of 87. It's just unbelievable.
And here it is, the tangible proof of her reinvention. This is the house she owned with her son, Augustus Brady. From being on the run, with absolutely nothing to her name, she managed to claw her way back to security, to having a home of her own.
This is the final piece of the puzzle, her death notice from 1935. It marks the end of an 87-year journey, a journey filled with unbelievable hardship and resilience. But there's one last, crucial detail hidden here in the text.
Look closely at the names. Look who she is the dearly beloved mother of: Augustus, Mary, and Clara, her 3 children with Michael Brady. There is no mention of George, Elizabeth, James, or Emma. Her first family, the one she walked away from all those years ago, they have been completely erased from her public story. That, right there, was the price of her survival.
87 years. Just think about that. She was born in the 1840s when life expectancy was maybe half of that. She survived a perilous sea voyage, a brutal colonial life, the scandal of leaving her family, a violent partner, and personal tragedy to reach that age. She was, above all else, a survivor.
You know, Harriet's incredible life was nearly lost to history, only visible because someone took the time to connect the dots between all these separate records. And it just leaves you with a final thought. How many other stories like hers are out there, just sitting in archives waiting for someone to piece them together and bring them back to life?